Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
This one. I always look at that.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 21, Episode 13 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm Stork.
And I'm...
Oh, I jumped right over you.
I'm a ghost.
You did it by... No, that's not even by height.
That was awful. That was awful.
No,
Can we do
it's
that
good.
again? Can we come in again?
Thank you for joining us for Season 21, Episode
purposely-
13 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
My name is Gina. And this is my friend Stark.
It's funny because, like,
Hashtag adorbs.
we do this so often for APs now. Like,
there's
I'm
a lot of
like,
times only three of
hi,
us."
I'm Kimmy, and I'm just Kimmy today. I'm just Kimmy. I'm not playing. I'm myself. It's me. It's just me.
I am myself as myself.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
As you may notice, we're on an hour early. And we'll be doing this through Fair.
Yes.
So through the end of May. Maybe forever? I don't know. Is it?
We have to see if we
might
like it.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is going to... The like 2 or 3 European people who listen, who like wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the show live, they're probably not going to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch the show live.
Probably not.
But the East Coast people and the Central and Mountain people, well, not Mountain, but the East Coast and Central people, it's on an hour earlier now. So hopefully...
Yeah.
And that's why we have a podcast.
It may conflict with my work schedules, but I'll know.
Okay.
At the beginning of the day, be like, doing a 12.
I
Can't
can
make it.
rewatch
Right.
in the morning on the YouTubes
Yes.
or the Twitches.
In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG... Oh, I should mention, next weekend, if you're local to Southern California, the 54th, I don't know, 54th? I don't know.
Sure.
Renaissance Pleasure Fair in Irwindale, California begins. Go to renfair.com, and you can find information about that fair. We have a stage schedule, but it is not published yet, and it's not finalized, so I'm not going to say it, but obviously we'll be at Rogues Reef stage at least 3 times.
Which, if you get a program, they have a map, says Rogues Reef.
And follow it.
Follow that.
Or just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's it.
Smell the body.
Right.
There's groupings of animals, right? You know, it's a pride of lions, it's a murder of crows, it's a stench of boggards.
Right.
Yes. Nice.
Sorry. What?
It could also be a repose of boggards.
A repulsive body?
That sounds too
repulse.
pretty.
A reclining of boggards?
Oh.
I don't know. It depends. It depends what we're doing at the time.
Or not doing.
And how long it's been since we've bathed. Also, GameX is coming up Memorial Day weekend, which
Yes.
is probably...
Is it like 24?
May 25th,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
May 20... Yeah.
That's a guess. I don't actually
Are
know.
you...
We're doing the thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
there we go. 25, 26.
Yep, look at that. I was right on the
28.
nose.
Bam!
I already emailed them and everything, too. I'm like,
Okay.
on it this year.
Excellent.
That's excellent.
I'll give you the giant box of
Yeah,
streaming.
and we got
so you
people who are going to be there who've committed to doing the show. It's
Excellent.
all there. Thank you. Thank you.
In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, William from Minnesota asks about player-driven campaigns. There's a 3-part email from Daniel in Australia, and Steffi from Scotland sends us a horror story about first-time gaming. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com.
I miss Blurb.
I do too. That should actually be on the...
What used
I
to
totally
be.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
What do you need a soundboard for? She's right here.
Yeah.
Wait
no,
till she
but that
sneezes.
should be when she's not. Yeah, that's cute.
happytextrpg@gmail.com, and we're also on all of the social medias.
Meteors.
Medias.
That's your...
One medium, many media.
Yes.
Okay. Mediums.
But like a strike of light through the night, we're a meteor.
yeah.
Social media.
So make some comments on our social meteors.
The social
Hey.
Hey, meteors.
Have I made that joke before?
I don't think
Every
so.
time,
No.
probably.
I don't think
No,
so.
there were a lot of puns last week.
We're
but
old enough
not
that we don't
one.
remember now.
And that's Happy Jack's RPG, all one word. On all of them.
Yeah.
If you'd like to watch the show live, you can go to happyjacks.org/live. We're doing 7 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Daylight Time,
Oh, yeah.
for the foreseeable future.
I keep mislabeling that.
And, just put Pacific.
PDT.
and
I
then-
know.
Yeah.
We need to stop twitching. It's annoying.
And that's it.
Cool.
So,
And what are we drinking tonight?
I have
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, we have lots of yummies tonight.
Stone Hop Revolver IPA.
Gina brought all the alcohol ever today. Thank you,
Yeah.
Gina.
You're
Yay,
welcome.
Gina.
She brought for me the mango cart because she knows it doesn't like it doesn't like
I
IPAs.
I don't like them.
It doesn't like them anymore.
Yeah. And
The
then
alcohol in this is 4.
Mango cart golden red is delicious.
yes. And then Gina and I are
Dark.
sharing a red.
Yeah.
Apothic Dark.
Blah.
Yeah.
Something very vampire. It's gothic writing.
Apothic.
A very nice.
Excellent.
It's a blend, isn't it? I mean,
I volunteer
Yes,
drink
red.
the
There's
red.
even the drip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
And a point away IPA.
Yeah.
so,
Cool.
Here we are.
dear douche. Oh, this is from William in Minnesota. Player-driven
Yeah.
campaigns.
Hold on. Did anybody play anything this week?
That comes later.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's right here.
We can
I
do
guess
it.
I should follow the.
You don't have to. It doesn't
don't have
matter.
to.
Right now.
You're a trailblazer.
Just fuck them all
You're
in.
like
I'll
a
just stay over and
footpad.
be
You
quiet.
just like do your own
Mango
thing.
carts. You go.
You can't be reined in. Just
You
say
rained
it.
on.
The character sheets are holding you back, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Stu.
All right. You sure?
Yeah.
We can put it in different order. Just take me a minute to change the Word document.
Yeah.
This passive aggressive Stu, I'm not sure about anymore.
What passive aggressive? This is active
Nice
aggressive.
too. Yeah, no, yeah. It's the fact that he's active aggressive instead of passive aggressive that's
yeah.
throwing you off.
Yes.
As a GM, William from Minnesota, dear douchebags and douchebaguettes, as a GM of many years, I have run many campaigns on many systems. My problem is that regardless of what I run, everything I write usually turns into a series of one-shots or Monster of the Week campaigns. This is exactly the opposite of my problem. I keep wanting to throw in long-term things in games that I even know are one-shots.
Yeah.
I've typically run dungeon crawls. I've run games that play out like episodes of a TV show with smooth narrative arcs. I've even run games where each session was a murder mystery themed, around a different nursery rhyme.
Ooh.
Genius.
Yeah.
Despite this, I love listening to Moda Sin, and I wish I could run.
Despite
The
this.
segue was that.
Right.
Despite the fact that I like to run good games.
Surprisingly,
I'm gonna drink more.
I love listening to Moda Sin, and wish I could run something like that, where players drive the pace of the story instead of a pre-planned beginning, middle, and end each week.
Is that what we did in that? Is drive the pace of the story?
Yes.
little-
Sometimes
a
you
lot
drove
of
the
it.
story, sometimes you didn't, and the
gonna
story
say-
just kind of sat there.
Drive might be
That's
the
them
wrong
driving the
verb.
story. Like
Yes.
if it took a session to
That's
have
true.
a
Luckily, it was a
fashion
vampire
show.
game, so you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the story sitting there rotting.
Right.
It just sits there, perfectly preserved, waiting for someone to pick it up.
all undead.
Sometimes we
Right.
drive it, sometimes we park it.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, no, you're going to carry on the driving metaphor. You're
Yeah.
driving, but occasionally you hit a stoplight,
Right.
and sometimes it's a really long light.
Stop
And then
for
you
gas.
gotta-
Occasionally you have to stop for
Yeah.
gas.
Yep. Spin a Pokestop.
Do a U-turn because you're not sure where you're going.
Right.
As
There was a lot
Go
of those.
back.
We were in roundabouts for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
And I wish I could run something like that where the players drive the pace of the story instead of a pre-planned beginning, middle, and end each week. Maybe it's because I cut my teeth on D&D and pre-written modules. Maybe, well, there are pre-written modules that are tough to do in a single session.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe it's because I've trained my players poorly after doing this for so long. But when I try to let... Is this not me?
No, it's
that's-
all of us
no,
but
it's,
you.
It's me.
Yeah. You're fine.
All right.
Train the
Played this
players.
for so long. But when I try to let my players take control or don't give them a clear mission to resolve that specific session, they tend to get bored and I don't know what to do. How can I help my players drive the game themselves? P.S. Take a drink. But only if today ends with a Y.
All right.
That's tricky.
I like that rule.
Because they all do.
Well, it's the 30th
Yeah.
that ends with an H.
That's
No.
the date. It's the day.
Yeah.
Day. It's Friday.
Oh, I mean day of the week.
Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
Does this month have an R in it?
Friday.
It does.
Yeah, we're
It
March.
does.
Is that a shellfish thing?
Yes.
I was not. What?
Shellfish.
It is. You never heard that? Mm-hmm. It's a shellfish thing. I don't know what it means, but
Yeah, I
you're not.
can't remember. Don't eat.
I think
in the
you're.
months that
I think
end
you're
with-
supposed to eat it with an R or not. I don't remember. It had
don't
something to
either.
do with certain types of mollusks and it had to do something with their breeding season, I think. But I don't really remember. I took marine biology, and our teacher in marine biology in high school explained it to us.
Yeah.
This sounds like fringe science. I don't know. It's like, are you going to acupuncture your bivalves and see if they're actually good to eat before you eat them? I'm confused. It's like if it ends in an R, so...
No, it has an R in it. But if you look at the calendar, there's R's in some months, but like in...
May,
June, July... April has one. May, June, July, August
March,
don't
Yeah.
have them.
April.
So
Yeah.
there's something about like the hot months.
all right.
That makes sense.
I
makes
guess like
sense.
before we had refrigeration, that would make sense.
Right. Well, if before refrigeration, I would never eat
And
shellfish.
if you live in Los Angeles, don't eat anything that's probably locally caught because
Yeah, locally sourced in
Ew.
LA back in the 30s.
No.
Not
well,
so
even
good.
now,
Never.
I don't know if
Yeah.
we were doing offshore drilling then. It was probably fine.
No,
in the
Oh, we're
30s.
raw sewage
we
flowing
dumped
into the...
Oh, that's true.
sewage into the
That just
yeah.
that
I'm
just
sorry,
brings
that
out the
didn't
flavor.
stop.
See, the
Did it?
animals just process that. I'm not so worried about the sewage stuff.
Right.
It's like
Ugh.
the oil bothers me more.
Yes. Yeah. So, my first thought on this was, especially when he was talking about Moat, put one of the player characters into some sort of a position of authority.
Okay. Don't have it be me.
But if you want it,
Poor Kimmy.
if you want the players to start driving the action, first off, I think before you do anything, you need to sit down with the players and say, "Hey, I want to run a more long-term game that has a story arc that expands, that doesn't just last one session." So I want you guys to keep an eye on that sort of thing. And two things I think happen, at least in my experience with long campaigns, because I tend to believe I run much better long-term games than I do short-term games.
Yeah, you're a marathon runner, not a sprinter.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Well, you can tell by my physique.
Clearly.
Yes.
But you get to a point in the game where there's enough plot hooks out there where your prep as a GM declines dramatically, and you get to the point where it's only about, okay, what are the plot hooks that are still out there that are unresolved? How have those things changed over the game time from the last session? Are the bad guys making progress on whatever it is they're trying to do? Has something bad happened that might draw the player's attention to it? So you're looking for little things that you can kind of help drive the story a little bit. But you do get to a point where there's enough spinning plates where the players are going to start saying, okay, we need to start resolving these things. Let's go after this thing first. We got werewolves on there. Let's go after the werewolves and let's solve that problem. You guys did solve that problem.
Yeah.
You didn't solve it by killing them. You solved it by making friends with them and starting a business with them.
Then true.
Right.
Then true.
And
Can I
that-
make money off of it? Yes. Okay.
Right.
No? Okay, kill it.
Right. But that basically sort of, did it end that storyline? Absolutely not. Because they're werewolves.
Yeah.
They're unpredictable. Anything could happen. Anything could. Plus, you're not. Later on in the game, you're not actually supposed to be friendly with werewolves because traditionally you're fighting each other, and you should not be pals. So there were
Enemy of my enemy.
right.
Right.
But that gives you more plot complications for later. But sort of neutralize that problem.
Yeah.
Right. And which frees up time to start going after the other problems. And I
made
think
us money.
Right, and I think part of that is the fact that I just lost my train of thought. No, part of that is the fact that the players were in a position where there was no one else to turn to. There was a higher authority, but it's like, this place is your responsibility. What happens here is on you. It's not on anyone else. So, and that, I think, can help drive the players to take a little more initiative.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
I think that's true.
I have more to say, but go ahead.
Is he also saying though that when they get spinning plates, that's all they want to do is go resolve a spinning plate. You gave me a breadcrumb, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do.
I think
he
there's.
wants them to run more fashion shows.
I think that maybe. I think my guess is from what he said is that they're basically kind of trained at this point.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
a problem is introduced at the
Yeah.
beginning of the session, the problem is going to be solved at the end of the session.
Yeah, we
And
go
you
after
can
the problem.
And you
Yeah.
can still do that. However, you can also throw in a foreshadowing thing about what the next problem is going to be. Or maybe tie in problem from session 2 and problem from session 3 in some way to kind of start.
So you're saying maybe throw a little more out than they can even handle so that they make choices.
You have to prioritize, yeah.
Well, I have a couple of different thoughts going on. I mean, first of all, I don't know what systems he's running, but
a lot of D&D.
I find that...
I don't know what else.
Well, he cut his teeth on D&D.
Right.
I find that the systems that have group character gen makes you more involved with your character rather than what your character can do.
Yeah.
And especially things that are semi-random, like
That's a really good point.
like Traveler or something where you don't know what you're going to get and you got to play what comes up.
Right.
Right? And that has a dramatic effect on what it is you plan to do and what you can do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just end up playing the personality because you have no skills. Sometimes you end up loving the personality so much that you play that up rather than playing just the fighter.
Stats or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that came up was you are a very calm GM. You come up with a huge overarching storyline. Thanos is going to invade the universe. Spoilers. He's going to invade Earth.
What?
That's it. And then there's a couple little things that start it. Like you get like a portal opens up in your living room, right? And that's it. That's as far as you go. And then the rest of the characters come up with stuff, and then you riff off of that.
Yes.
I think a lot of GMs, myself included, will start with that portal, and then there's a reason for that portal, and then this is over here, and then there's spaceships over here, and the next thing I know, I've got everything planned out for the next 12 episodes.
Yeah.
I think that you are so calm at this point that you construct your overarching meta plot, and then just toss out a couple little plot points, and let the characters play.
It's not even so much I have come up with what the meta plot is going to be, but I've come up with a premise for the meta plot. Mm-hmm. And those bad guys, whoever they are, have goals. Mm-hmm. There's stuff that they're going to want to try to do. Are they going to get a chance to do that? Are they not going to get a chance to do that? I don't know. But they do have goals and ends that they're trying to get to. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, yes, I'm trying to come up with that sort of through line. But as far as how the party attacks that problem, I have no idea. And I never try to concern myself
because
with.
D&D made sure that you had your prep done. You had to have a dungeon mapped out.
Because
you have NPCs and monsters.
You need to know the stats for all your monsters and all that stuff.
You absolutely do. Mm-hmm. And you're shooting much more from the hip these days. And I think that is an important lesson for all GMs, which is have some stat blocks sort of written up. Have a couple NPCs in your back pocket or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe have a dungeon you can pull out if it goes that way. But for the most part, that's it. Don't sit around and map everything up because you're going to find yourself, whether you mean to or not, leading your Ferris Bueller, he's just leading you down the primrose path.
Right.
You're going to lead your players on, whether you mean to or not, by giving them breadcrumbs to follow.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder. Oh,
go ahead. No,
I just was going to say, I wonder if it is kind of a combination of having enough sort of stuff going on that's either related or not related to whatever goal or front or whatever you have in the background, but also engaging your characters as characters so that, it's in Savage Worlds you do interludes or whatever, but if the character part, like Sturk was saying, you have your session 0 and people aren't really grabbing onto who those characters are beyond.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter and these are my stats.
Well, he went to school to be a fighter. He went to
fighting school.
Fighting school.
Because I think once there are multiple things going on in their world, whether they relate to the meta plot or not, and people are responding and reacting as players the way their characters would want to react, maybe that's when you get more player-driven, like story propelling forward.
You can.
And tying it in, like, other than, hey, you need to kill X, Y, Z to be the hero, like, once you start having those emotional tie-ins and those situations where there might not be a right answer, like, it's not like, hey, you go to, the forest and kill the troll who's killing the people who are on the road. Like, if you start having those moral conundrums that have to do with their backstory and what, they may disagree on things, like, that's really when you're going to get that. Is when you have those backstories, you tap into those characters, and you have that inter-party conflict.
And that also generates, generally, more creative solutions to problems, especially if one faction of the party isn't trying to steamroll the other. They're going to try to come up with something they can all live with, like in the troll situation.
Yeah.
If you look back at Troll Hunter, they go and they visit that veterinarian, and it's like, well, these trolls they're animals, and what if you find out this troll has been ravaging this village because it's been driven out of its normal hunting ground, which is far away from civilization.
Yeah.
But there's something else there, and it's like, okay, the troll's kind of a victim of its own circumstance too.
Yeah. Exactly. They're building a resort on its home.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And the same thing happened with our L5R game that just ended. We all had different ideas about how to deal with the problem,
Right.
and a lot of that game was us talking about it in character, figuring out what was a solution that we could all live with, and that was okay with our code.
Yep.
So that's really key.
I was even thinking about Dead Rain, which I don't think you would call necessarily a story game.
Right.
And how much of those sessions were driven by interplayer dynamics.
100%.
It was
100%.
nuts.
So some of
it's a zombie apocalypse, but there was and we had tons of leads.
Yeah.
Right.
Just based on the fluff in the book
And right.
what we were getting from you and Dave, but there was so much that was
Had
just
so
built
much
on
fun
the-
yelling at each other.
Oh my god, it was so fun. We needed 6 more sessions.
The thing is, when Dave and I were prepping
Yeah.
that, we made a OneNote thing, and we just went in and just create a page and write something about
Savior Dan.
Well, that kind of stuff, and this artillery unit that's stuck up on this hill.
Yeah.
And who are they? Why are they there? We hadn't really figured that stuff out, but they're there.
Awesome.
And then there's this big thing coming down the 60 freeway that you're hearing reports of. And there's a couple other things that we threw out there that never showed up in the game. But we basically just wrote a bunch of things, and we without really having any plans. The ending to it very, very much happened organically.
Yeah.
With you guys, because at the end of every session, Dave and I would have a chat, and we'd sit and go, well, where do you think they might go next week? Well, I don't know. Well,
no
they
idea.
might go here. They might go. I think it's going to be one of these 2 or 3 things. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then we'd kind of drill down and prep those a little more. But I think in his specific case, I think he's become so used to, and his players probably now have an expectation.
Waiting for him to feed.
We get a plot hook. We resolve the plot hook.
Yeah.
We won the session.
Feeder.
Right?
Well, it might also be that that's all the players want. I know that when I was playing EverQuest back in the day,
That's a good point.
it was hard to commit yourself to a raid.
Yeah.
This is back before WoW, when you could just check out and it wasn't a problem because the game had scaled back down. If you left, and some of these raids went for 10 hours.
No, fuck
So if
that
you're
shit.
starting, it's like, I just want to come home, play for an hour and a half, go make dinner, go to bed.
Right.
I commit to a raid, I'm there till 2, 3, 4 in the morning because I cannot leave. And sometimes people just want to get together, drink some beer, play 4-hour D&D session and go home. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they may not be that invested in exploring the intricacies of their
you can
their
still
characters.
do that.
Yeah.
The GM just has to find a good ending place,
Yeah.
and then and say, okay, this is where we're going to end the session.
Right.
Yeah.
Cliffhangers rock. That totally keeps the player's interest.
It does.
Because if they know there's some sort of conflict or something that's going to end up being unresolved at the end of the session, that's going to get them thinking about it between sessions. Too.
Maybe that's the
Talking
takeaway.
about it.
Don't wrap your games up after every session. Leave it on a cliffhanger.
Right.
And your characters are going to go, what?
Yeah,
And then they're going to talk amongst themselves, and they're going to come back next day with a plan, and they're going to be much more invested than you think. You can basically sort of wrap the thing up, but just leave it on a cliffhanger.
they might not know what they're missing,
Yeah.
but to your point, they also might just really have a lot of satisfaction with the monster of the week,
Yeah.
solving,
like, here's the plot for this session. We put a bow on it.
Yeah.
And set it under the tree.
Yeah.
I love those games myself. I do. There's a certain satisfaction
Sure.
between beginning,
Absolutely.
middle, and end.
Especially-
You're done. You're like, we win.
The thing is, you can do both.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can have that sort of monster of the week or
Yeah.
whatever session or crisis of the week or whatever, but you can have okay, who's behind these crises? Who's the
Yeah.
Why are this one city that we're in that's being attacked by all these crazy weird ass things? Why are they attacking us? What is the long term? Is there a long term problem or something else driving this to happen? And maybe over the course, maybe you want to kind of sneak in a longer meta plot and let the players at the end of the session find an incongruous clue. Like let's say they get the city gets attacked by zombies, and they find on one of the zombies they find some sort of
one of the family coat of arms. It turns out your great grandfather was the Lich, and who's now leading them.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Or something, or
off the top of my head,
right? Or maybe some sort of weird rune that they've never seen before, and then the next week when werewolves come in and attack, they find that there's the same rune is tattooed on one of the werewolf corpses when they kill them, or whatever it is. And just something, and then they'll start to notice these commonalities. That might cause them to start to become more proactive.
Yeah. Here's the trick.
We need to go figure out what this thing means.
Here's the trick that I know that you use, because you've admitted to it, usually after we're done. I just had them have a rune. I had no idea what it means. I listened to you guys, and then I stole that.
I call that post-preparation.
Well, and that's something you can totally do, because I love sandbox games, and I run even my con games where I have a 4-hour time limit. Like, I don't plan the story, I plan the world, and we've talked about the modular design before, but it's like they can go anywhere they want, and I know what's going to happen in each of those places, and they get to decide. So I think that's something that you can do rather than plan your story out chapter by chapter.
Right.
Plan the the little sandbox that they're in, and then let them make those choices. I think as you slowly wean them off of from point A to point B, do X.
Yep.
Then I think you'll start seeing them take more initiative with that stuff.
That's the thing I was going to say, though. There is possibly going to be some uncomfortableness as you figure out this gray area of not spoon feeding them every breadcrumb to go after, and kind of waiting, nudging them so that they make decisions, or giving them things where they can answer the questions or decide actions themselves, versus feeling uncomfortable, because Dave has talked about this a lot, CA Dave, that he can't stand when there's like too many threads and no one knows what to do, and you have analysis paralysis. So it's that kind of balancing of those things.
And that happened many times in the movie.
Yeah, it did.
Where there was so many things, it's like, and the whole thing is, I think the paralysis happened because you guys are trying to figure out what's the thing I'm expecting you to do.
No, 100% it was me. Like, it was my personality and being the prince that did that, because I'm a manager.
Really?
No, I swear to God. Like, and that's one of the reasons I was like, I should never be a prince again. Because as a manager, I wanted to make sure everything was okay at all times.
Right.
So if I dedicated myself to stopping this problem, that might cause one of these problems to get better. So it was it was my personality, and it was so hard. And you notice after that character died and I got to play a Setite, that suddenly, shit gets done, man.
Right.
Because I am like a micromanager. It's like, no, we need to have a perfect plan that will 100% work before we can handle that.
There was a little bit, I think you're being a little hard on yourself, because you were the prince and you did have to give orders. You also had to wrangle all these desperate personalities.
And
we were all of us
Right.
exploring our personalities and our backstories.
Right.
I mean, it's fair to say that Stu mined my backstory for the first year of Mode of Sin.
Yes.
And so I was basically being beat up left and right, and everybody reveled in it, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not all you. Don't take it all on you, because I think that a lot of us were basically playing our personalities and discovering this whole game, discovering our backstories, and reveling in the fact there were whole games where we didn't do anything but just yell at each other. And that's okay.
That's 100%
because that's
okay.
kind of what Vampire is.
Well, when we had fun.
But it's not just you.
Well, yeah. And there was also the thing where I wasn't as familiar with Vampire. Like, I became Prince pretty early in the game.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah.
And I wasn't as familiar with...
Well, the reason I did that, and this is another thing maybe to keep in mind, if you have a task giver in the game, make at some point, if you want the players to drive it more, make the task giver go away.
Yeah.
So you had a prince on the island when you guys started, and the prince or not a prince, but you had a lord on the island, and the lord disappeared.
Yeah.
So same thing with the L5R game. when you guys are in town and the daimyo's there, you only have so much freedom of movement, right?
Yeah.
But once the daimyo says, "Okay, go there," and there's a problem, just go handle it.
So
Off you go, and you guys can do whatever you want.
Because I'm the exact opposite now that I think about it in L5R. L5R, I'm always taking initiative. I'm like fucking those swords left and right, like doing the exact opposite that I'm supposed to do.
I think that's because I think your personality is more
proactive,
in tune with a crab than it is with a ventru.
Possibly,
Maybe
it's possible
because crabs are all about. Well, crabs have a very every character in L5R.
yeah.
It's a very focused point of
Every
view.
character in L5R has every samurai in L5R has a definite.
But I was like that
Moral
as Crane
code.
too. Remember, I did that as a Crane.
Right, but that's the whole. You did what as Crane?
I did the sword thing for people.
Yes,
So that's twice in two completely different characters in different clans.
because they have very clearly defined morality.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's
And
something.
I think
set.
and I think once you have those lines, this is where I'm working. And I think my guess is, and I don't know this for sure, but my guess is when you were playing the prince as a ventru in the moat game,
I'm too nice.
you were too nice.
Yeah.
Your morality is what's best for me.
Yeah. And instead, I was like, well, I want my friends to get along. How do I keep them from killing
and your
each other?
morality was really high, or your humanity was really high.
It wasn't as high as I act. Like, I was much more moral.
Was it like 7 or
And that's the
8
thing. Like,
or
if I went,
6?
yeah, it was pretty high. But if I went back and did it again, that was one of the things. I think knowing what I know about Vampire now,
Right.
and after having the fun of playing a Setite that just chaos for chaos' sake, I think I'd be a very different game now.
Sure.
So, but I think we're way off topic. But
I also, I was going to say, one of the eye openers for me was your original premise for Mode of Sin, which was, I'm going to give vampires an island. They're going to be able to maybe take charge because they're going to take over from an ineffectual leader and go. That was your original premise, right? Which was
No.
the original.
I did not originally intend for him to go away.
I didn't think so either
No.
because I remember you talking sort of.
That happened because someone, either in a forum post or something, mentioned to me because I had mentioned I think it might have been in the no players thing on the forum. I think I said I'm trying to get the players to take more initiative, and someone had said, "Hey, by the way, you had the same problem in the L5R game when you had a daimyo over them, you dumbass." So that's why I got rid of them.
so that genius is
Yeah.
actually the one that you're giving advice from.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to, this is an entirely different topic, but I struggle as a player in a game when there is an in-game imposed hierarchy.
Right.
Like I have a tough time playing a game where there is a leader, it's a military structure, depending on the character I'm playing. 'Cause if I'm playing a loose cannon or I'm playing, sure.
I don't mind that kind of structure as long as I'm not that guy. Because I don't, as a player, I don't play very often, but I'm very cognizant of player agency, and I don't want to be the guy who is telling all the other characters what to do.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I may not necessarily be the guy who's going to follow orders, but I don't mind chaos. But if there is a structure, I just don't want to be that. I don't want to be the one of the reasons when we played Magnificent Bastard. Was it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Magnificent
yeah.
Bastards, yeah.
No, it was
No,
Glorious.
it
Yes.
was-
No,
In-
Inglourious is the
Inglourious
movie.
is the
Oh,
movie.
right.
Magnificent Bastards is, yeah.
Why are we fighting in a basement?
999. Oh yes, yes, yes.
But one of the things that that character made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing was, I get to make people do what I want them to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't. If I can fair and square go
Oh,
in and
no,
screw
me either.
someone over to get something
I'm
to happen,
like-
especially playing vampire or something like that, I'm all for that. But I don't want to be the guy who says, "Yeah, put your dice away. I'm in control of your
Oh,
character
yeah,
right
there's
now."
a
Fuck
captain,
that.
there's
I don't
the
want that.
sergeant, there's a... Yeah, no,
Right.
I don't want to be that either.
I'm gonna say, and maybe this is the unspoken thing. When I will say it now, that it might also be on your players. Like when Sam in the Mode of Sin game gave me the whammy, I went with it, and I'm
Right.
okay with that.
Right.
I played it.
I would be okay with that. I wouldn't be okay with giving the whammy.
Well, but that's the thing. As if you once you get immersed in these characters, you kind of just do what they what their skill set says and what they would do. Right. And yeah, it's maybe not the first day, maybe not even the first month, but after a while you get caught up in these things and you just do stuff. That's what you would do. Albert would totally walk out in a robe in the middle of a werewolf fight, going, "What the hell? You guys be quiet!" Right? And it's not strategically smart. Yes, it's not what many other players would do. Yes, it's not what gamers. But that's what my character would do.
Stork. I mean, what Stork's character would do.
Yes,
I love that.
I think it's one of these things that after a while people get. And I've said it before, writers talk about oftentimes the book writes themselves. And I think once you get really immersed in a character, the character starts to write itself.
Yeah.
And I think as a GM, you need to allow enough space and time for those players to inhabit those characters, and then stuff will start to happen.
No, I definitely think that's true. And giving those, like having the characters time to develop, because I know, like, I think L5R, again, not to keep bringing up that game, but the recent one is really a good example of that, because we started playing that game and I knew I'd planned my character, but it takes me a few sessions to know my character.
Sure.
And you can see it. I mean, we only had 5 or 6 sessions in that part of the campaign, but it's the first session, the second session, we're in character, but it's not in character. Then I think it was the second or third session, there was one point where we just clicked.
Well,
you could almost feel it in the room. We were boom, this is who we are, and suddenly we're it's just really amazing.
And I think that isn't just you trying to grok who the character is. I think that is you taking the characters through various situations that are going to help you define who that character is.
Yes.
Because you're going to discover who that character is by how you're going to react to what's going on around you.
100%.
Right? And you can't do... I mean, there are people who can do that right off the bat.
Yeah, they're called actors.
Yes, exactly.
They get paid a lot of money to do that.
Right.
Well, I would even say, though, that once you get on set, though, some of that stuff might even change.
That's why they have rehearsals.
Yeah.
So that they can get into that.
Because once you have that dynamic of the other characters and the other players at the table, stuff you really thought, even the little pieces that you thought might not quite be what you thought they were.
It's the interaction with the other players and the environment that is going to help you define who that character is.
Exactly.
And we're getting kind of a little far afield.
Not really.
No, I feel like having that. I mean, this is what empowers players to take that initiative to kind of drive the campaign.
True.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, I really feel that. I mean, and that's one of the things you see in the first couple sessions of L5R. It's more go here. Okay, we're going to go there. But once we kind of discovered who we were. Then suddenly we're figuring out, are we going to do it this way or what are we going to do? No, I'm not going to do that. Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk away and completely not even be there.
And it's beyond the tropes of,
oh,
I'm a fighter, but I drink a lot.
And
it's it's the, why do you drink a lot?
Yeah.
You know, it's what's beyond that? What is that character really about?
Well, in those situations that you gave us, and this is part of what you can do as a GM, is giving those small things that we have to make choices or moral calls on that help us then flush out and define that character. You did a ton of that where, it was just small things. We're in the, and Stork was going shopping and things like that. How do you react to all those small things add up to give us a lot more foundation to be who we are and then take that initiative. Go ahead, sir.
Just shopping. It's such a bad word. I was going to say, there is a difference between making your characters task-oriented and making them maybe more story-oriented. And that's up to the players. At some point, they're going to shift from just following the task that they're given to exploring their backstory or their faults. You're blessed with players that embrace their faults. I don't think a lot of people do that. In fact, I know a lot of people don't do that. They don't like to look at what's wrong with their character. They want to look at what's right with their character.
There's a lot of games that don't have anything where you define what's wrong with your character.
I would submit that they do, but they do it as a gimmick. So I've seen that where it's this is the gimmick of my character that
But that's a starting place.
It is. It's beyond that. Though,
it's when people talk about religion, and you get those people who say, "I'm religious, but I keep it in church." you know what I'm talking about? There are those people, and it's the same thing with a character. Your character's flaws. I want a character with character flaws. But I don't really want it to affect my ability to succeed. Right.
Right.
And I get that. I mean, maybe I'm belaboring the point, but I think that we're talking about all this interesting stuff that came out of Modusing came out of our flaws and our character interaction, and less about the task that we were given.
But and it's also Stu's ability and GMs in general. Like, we're blessed with a lot of really great GMs who are able to do this to make those things relevant, to make your disads not just a disadvantage in your combat, but also something that can be really interesting for the story, and not
absolutely.
So it's like my ghost ad, and like you made that super interesting, and then the chat room kind of took it to the next level. But that was something that didn't benefit me in any way, and it actually hurt me in some places in the game as far as like mechanics. But it really enriched my character and really gave me a hard line for what I would and would not do, why I wouldn't do it. Like, literally my dad was watching the whole time.
Right.
So it's something that really helped the character. So I think as a GM, making sure you're not letting those things be forgotten, not in a punitive way, like, hey, you're supposed to have a ghost following you all the time, don't you, but oh, this is what your dad says, what do you do?
I submit, Stu, that you've always geared your games more towards the player interaction. Even when you're running a D&D game, back before we discovered L5R, or even games like L5R were invented, you had a list of things that you wanted people to fill out so that you could mine their backstories. You had who's your family, how you're related to them, how do you feel about them, who's your worst enemy, who's your best friend. I think that those things are important and have always been important to you, and I think that that's the crux for making a game like Mode of Sin, rather than just making it Monster of the Week.
Right.
Is having that rich backstory, having that rich material that you can pull from, and encouraging your players to relate to.
And that,
if you have a nagging Jewish mom that calls you on the cell phone while you're trying to save the world as a superhero, at some point they can't ignore it.
And that comes directly from running so much GURPS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because GURPS, you come up with disadvantages. Some of them are going to be personal failings. Some of them are going to be physical problems. Some of them are going to be social or other people. It might be an enemy or a rival or a dependent or someone you're protecting or whatever it is. But that's where that came from, because GURPS built right into the system. A lot of games now, but back then there was only a few games that had that kind of thing in them. I mean, Hero and GURPS.
I'm going to sum this up. This might be a T-shirt.
In summary.
All right. So make broken characters and then just keep poking them, and you get a great story.
Nice.
You go.
Nice.
No, but let me just to recap, because
that was long. It's good though.
Talk to your players. Make sure your players know. Make sure your players know that you want to do. You can still do the one shot thing. You can totally still do the one shot thing, but let them know that you're going to start introducing subplots that are going to or meta plots that are going to last longer than a single session. So they don't have the expectation that they have to tie everything up at the end of the session.
And feel like they're a failure for not doing it.
Right, because that's sort of become their victory condition.
And they don't jump into the flames holding the sword just to because they know it's the end of the session. But it's also the end of the session.
Secondly, then put in hooks that go beyond the session's end. Things they can't solve in the single session. Give them the things that they can, but at the end of that, perhaps, right at the end, they discover some clue. This zombie and that thing over there, they both had a similar thing about them. I wonder if these disparate things are connected in some way.
Dum, dum, dum.
And third, remove the authority. Remove whoever the authority figure is. You want to really unbridle them or unfetter them. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Now, in some games, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
In Vampire, people are totally willing to go behind their prince's back. L5R, going behind your daimyo's back.
That's a pretty big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And most characters won't do that if they've read the book.
That's only from your perspective.
There was a look given across.
Oh no! What you guys did was consistent. I think was consistent with your own character's understanding of what your morality is.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is awesome.
So anyway,
yeah. Did we read the PPS?
If you're reading this on the air,
now we get a warning.
Please delete the third paragraph. No,
don't read. No.
Then this is the third email from me you've read.
Yeah.
How
Yay.
often is too often when it comes to sending in questions? I'm sure you have thousands of listeners, yes. Not as many thousands as I want, but we have thousands.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands.
Barely.
And want to make sure other people get a chance to have their emails read. Keep sending emails.
Yes.
If
No,
you've
no,
read,
we're going to encourage it.
yeah. If you've
Yeah.
if you've sent 3 emails and we've read 3 emails, that's because when I pre-read them or skimmed them,
They're good stuff.
I found something thought-provoking in it that
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the deal. We're not reading it because your name is William from Minnesota. We're reading it because you actually asked an intelligent question that we
Talked about
Look,
for 50 minutes.
I would
Exactly.
read it because it was William from Minnesota. But I'm biased.
You're from Minnesota?
I'm from Minnesota.
Where are you from in Minnesota? You want to say?
Up north.
Up east? You're
Where's
from up
that?
north? I don't know,
Who's
William,
that?
if you're
Yeah.
near there.
That's Michigan.
as far-
Michigan has Upers.
No, they're Upers, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, all of Minnesota's up north.
It is up north, yeah.
Go ahead and read the next one. I'm gonna
We're in
make the
LA.
dog
Everything is.
Oh,
up
who
north.
played
Like,
what this
everything.
week, though? If we're
yeah.
going by the...
I think, Gina, you're the only one.
No.
No.
We played L5R.
Is that this weekend?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. It would
It
be
was
tomorrow. It'll be the
Sunday.
next week. Okay, yeah.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. We had a kind of an epic game.
We had a really epic game.
It's wrapping up because fair's starting. To be
Right.
fair, so
Yes.
it was kind of a penultimate, or it was a finale.
Yeah, it was a finale. We decided that we did not like at least in its current iteration. There were elements we've really liked of the Final
beta.
Fantasy, or I'm sorry, Fantasy Flight Games
yeah.
The
beta
beta.
version. But right now it's just really hard to navigate, which we knew was going to be the case because it's beta, but the
Yeah.
layout is just
It's still broken.
super a mess right now.
Yeah.
I personally, just like I loved the Edge of the Empire game, I love the custom dice. I hate that we have to buy them, but I love like the way they worked for L5R specifically and the mechanic with the strife. But we decided that we were not going to continue to go forward with that when we come back from fair, just because the books are like
Go
you're
back to
flipping
fourth.
between like the printed version and then the amendments,
Okay.
and then it's just like 80 page. Like it's just a nightmare right now. I am looking forward to when that system is done, taking another look at it personally because I
Oh,
really liked
definitely.
elements of it. But for now, we're going to go back to L5R 4th edition, which we're very excited about. I can bring out my pretty dice again, my specific L5R dice.
Speaking of dice,
Uh-huh.
I've been reading through the 4th edition book, and it's so nice to read through a book and know that, okay, these are the rules.
Yes.
There's no other supplement I have to go to. But the thing that, as I'm reading through it again, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of refamiliarizing myself with it, I'm going to miss the not stress, what do they call it?
Strife.
I'm going to miss the strife mechanic.
That was my favorite part of the
because it's
beta.
awesome.
Yep.
It is so good.
Yep.
But I kind of came up with an idea on how to do the strife
Don't
thing.
make me go
Oh.
shopping again.
No. Well, here's my idea.
Yeah.
We're going to use 4th edition, but maybe on top of it put a strife system so that your character in certain situations, or maybe your dice pool, maybe we take, because your dice pool is made up of your stat and your skill, right? They don't call it stat, attribute, or whatever they call it. One of those two is going to be different colored dice than the other ones.
Oh.
So if you roll in your dice and you say, okay, these dice over here that are this color, you can take, if you keep those dice, you earn strife, or you suffer strife. If you keep these other dice, you don't.
Interesting.
So if you got, oh look, I rolled a 10 on this red die here. I want to keep that 10, so I'm going to write down a strife point, and then keep whatever it is you're going to keep. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it
Yeah.
because I'm sure it can be done without
It
having to
was
come up with
seriously
custom dice.
I thought one of the best things about the beta.
And especially in the 4th revision of the beta, or the revision of the beta where they got rid of the no, you must have an outbreak. Your character can have an outburst, right? Your character, you can have one,
Yeah.
but there's other ways you can do it. But if you don't resolve the problem with your strife when it
Yeah.
gets to a certain level, your character's in a mechanical disadvantage, which
Yeah.
fits in very
No, I think
well with
that's
the rest of the L5R
perfect.
system.
Yeah, it
The
looks so
fear
good.
the fear
Yep.
system works the same way. There's a problem with the fear. You're having the fear. You can continue fighting this scary ass thing that's terrifying you, but you're at a mechanical disadvantage to
Yep.
do that. And then the player is going to make the metagame decision to say, my character is no longer effective. I'm going to run
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
because
if
I don't
it-
want him to die.
Yeah. What if you did it on like odd numbers on the dice? Have strife. Have one strife.
That's all. I don't. Maybe
Because then you roll a dice pool, and then it's like the odd numbers. I mean, it might be crazy. I don't know. We'd have to figure. It depends on how big the dice pool is.
And you're going to have to come up with a way of getting rid of it out of game, too, because otherwise strife's going to build up regardless.
Well, I would keep that rule the same.
Well, though it went away with sleep and time, right?
Well, yeah, and it's like at the end of
they
every
do the same thing.
at the end of every scene, you lose your water ring in strife. So we just have to figure out a way to mechanically balance getting it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I loved that.
That we may have to tweak, but as I read through the rules, because I mean, obviously the rules are way more streamlined because it's a finished product; it's not a beta.
Yeah, it's a fourth edition of a finished product.
Right, and they've had a long time to hone those rules and get them to the point where they're understandable and everything. But as I was reading through them, I'm like, I'm going to miss the strife system.
Well, we can shoehorn
because it does add a dramatic element to the game that the game didn't have before.
Oh yeah,
I think it makes the game better.
I think so too, because it really suits the system or the world and the characters. Yeah.
So check out our final episode. Stuff happened. Spoilers. I may have already spilled some stuff anyway. Gina, what'd you play? I know you play all the games ever.
Well, I actually am working on. I'm making a character for a Burning Wheel game.
Ooh.
A Burning Wheel game set in the Dragonlands.
You didn't throw the book across the room because it's insulting?
No.
It's not insulting. It's preachy.
Well, and I think the key is play with an expert, and I'm playing with a bunch of experts.
You have to, yeah.
And I am really excited. So
there's some things about Burning Wheel that I think are fantastic.
Yeah,
I love the
argument, like the resolution for
and the combat thing where you write down what you're going to do because combat's so chaotic and it happens so fast. You're going to write down what you do, and you might get a chance to do it. You might not.
It's fascinating because I've played Torchbearer, I've played Mouse Guard, I've actually played Burning Wheel just once before, but it fits a niche of games that I've not played before. Because there are things that are sort of confining even about character creation that I'm not used to, but that lead to it reminds me of sort of when you roll a character up in Traveler. That it's like there is a certain amount of making a choice and there's a certain amount of you choose what's available to you and it's limited.
And if it's a long
so I'm
going
really
session,
excited.
I know with Mouse Guard, if it was a long going session, if you were out in the field for a long time and didn't come back to home base,
yes,
you didn't get any XP.
You fail.
You fail.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in Mouse Guard, you get XP through failure, also, though, right?
Yes, you do. But it's like, so if you have a ongoing campaign, you're kind of destined to fail. I don't know. There's weird. It's a weird system.
I'm really excited about it, and I've also never played Dragonlance.
The 3 paperback books, is that the?
Oh, yeah.
Or they have a new.
Well, no, I've got the. There's now new books, so there's the gold book, and then there's the Codex, the blue book.
Oh, okay, all right. I figured because when I bought it was a long time ago.
Yeah, so I think I'm just using 2 books. So I'm using the gold book and I'm using the Codex.
So you're playing in the Dragonlance world?
Yes, which I'm not familiar with.
The Dragons of the Autumn, Dragons of the Moon, because some of the Dragonlance books, I picked one up literally on set one day. They have these books sometimes on set. They just have them there. And it was long, and it was sitting there, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'll read this. So I put something else in its place and read it, and then I took the book, and I was hooked. And it was like
some continuity person got fired for that, probably.
But I was hooked, and the world. There's some Dragonlance books that aren't good, but this whole sort of series was excellent.
The Burning Wheel books?
No,
Dragonlance.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I did not intend for this to be my character, but somehow the path I walked with this character
you made a Kender, didn't you?
No, she's a sorcerer's apprentice, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, like daughter of nobility, which I was not going for.
No, it's awesome.
So yeah, she's totally like, so I'm really interested because it wasn't the character I necessarily envisioned, but
this is the best.
Yeah,
this is the character you got.
I think so.
Yeah.
No,
I like that. That's one of the reasons I love Traveler. It's like this is not the character I ever intended to play, but I got to make this work.
Yep.
Right.
And Apocalypse World does it, Fate does that, and Burning Wheel does it. Stu does it when he just gives you random stuff. Sometimes that's more fun for me than just playing the fighter again.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that really has built my like self-confidence as a role player is like playing games and playing characters that weren't necessarily what I thought I could. So, and it's stretches your abilities.
That's why I think
does.
I think for those who want to really stretch it, Traveler.
Yeah.
Because you have no control over what you're going to get.
Yep.
And everybody I've run through Traveler, we even did at a con game, I had character gen stuff. They come out of that going, this is the most fun I've ever had. Creating a game, creating a character, and they're so invested.
If it's the right kind of player. I do know people who detest
I get that.
randomly generated characters. They want to be able to make the character they want to make.
I get that, but in Traveler, because you're in a group with a bunch of people, you're working out a way to make
But
it
if you
work.
enjoy improv and you enjoy the challenge of, okay, here's the character I have to play, who is this guy, how is this going to work, you would love it.
Yeah.
Well, there are times that I have friends who will give me a hard time, a good-natured hard time for picking last sometimes. But I like to do that because sometimes it'll force me out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
And it doesn't always work.
Right.
But I would never have played a magic user if I didn't get forced out of my comfort zone. And I ended up loving playing magic users as well as like fighter types. But otherwise, you tend to go for things that are in your comfort zone that you know you enjoy, but you don't know what you don't like until
Or you follow the script.
try other stuff.
You follow the script. When you have a character that has no combat skills, you come up with other things to do with that character.
Yep.
Like steal starships.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
So
Speaking of Traveler.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm excited. So we'll see. Yeah.
All right.
and I played Interpol X on Monday.
Right.
So that was our penultimate. So we have one
the
more.
denouement.
Yes, the denouement. So and that's just such a fun game. I'm really, really enjoying that game. I wasn't 100% sold when we first started that system because even though I love PBTA, Monster of the Week just was. I loved all the players, and I was like, okay, add a monster on Monster of the Week. Okay, I'll play. But it was like, okay, I love Supernatural. Like I love that show so much, ridiculously.
You and Emily need to talk.
I know.
She's so over the moon about it.
So good. But it's like it's one of those things that I wasn't, even the name Monster of the Week, it's like, I don't really want to play a game that's like, oh, you kill this thing this week, and next week you kill this thing. Like, but Adam's done just a really amazing job with that, and it's really fun, kind of the dynamics that have popped up in that game, and playing a character, like we were saying, like I personally have a very specific set of moral codes, like, and it's hard for me to pull away from that. I'm like, you know, elementary school teacher, like in all ways. Like I'm the one who like, well, no, I don't follow the speed limit, but like I always stop at the stop signs. I always do the thing. You know, I do everything within the lines.
You have a particular set of skills.
Yeah, I have a very particular set of skills, and I make sure I'm very particularly in the lines with everything. So it's nice in that game to kind of play like a bad character. Like everyone else is like super. Oh, I'm magic. I'm gonna save people, and I'm like, I'm a demon.
You're an asshole.
I'm like,
That's awesome.
they can die. I don't care if they die, as long as I get what I need in the end. I'm actually more venture in that game, I think, than I am.
Right.
Like venture in
I'm
other
watching
ones.
that game. I don't know if Sam has anybody's best interest in life. Where did you find her? She's crazy.
Oh,
She's
they're
awesome.
they are amazing. They were with us. They were at Nerdstrong with us. So
Oh, okay.
we all worked out together, and they're
was
pretty
my-
amazing.
my
I was
fairy.
they were in a D&D 5e game that I played like off stream, and that was their very first RPG. So that was a fun kind of like seeing them.
That's awesome.
Like kind of do that growth has been super fun.
I've only seen her on
excellent.
camera.
They.
Right? Is she only
They.
4 feet tall?
Yeah, she goes. They go by they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but yeah, so they, they are very.
I know.
Dang
well,
it.
Sam.
They're very petite, but incredibly strong. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like they do
That's amazing.
workout stuff. But
Yeah.
so it's been really fun to watch them kind of like do that very first rolling up of a character ever to now like doing our show and being on like a bunch of other shows. So.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting the dynamic change too. I think this is one game where like that is so apparent how like a small 1 or 2 players can really make a huge difference. I might be talking too long. Sorry.
Yep.
No worries.
But like we have 3 of the same players who played the time. We started off with Jessica, who was amazing, but her schedule just wouldn't let her do it every week, so she's kind of like dropping in when she can. And then Sam has dropped in, and they are just such a different character and different energy at the table. It's been really interesting. Still an amazing game, but just like the shift in it. It's just kind of interesting to see. Like we're all the same characters, but how just the situations that we go into change.
Well, the interplay between the characters is always going to help define what's going to happen.
for real.
And you just change, and
Yeah.
especially and if you have a table with 6 characters, and you change one, you're not going to have that big of a deal. But if you got 4 players and one of them switches out, it's going to be a dynamic.
And Sam,
Yeah, I think so.
And Sam kind of made social face character, so she's always driving
Right.
stuff forward.
Yeah, they're and
They are
they're-
always trying to do stuff forward.
So yeah, they're great
Sorry.
about
Sorry,
they're playing
Sam.
the mundane too, because that's a very specific book in Monster of the Week.
Playbook.
Yeah, playbook in Monster of the Week, and like they just jump in and that's like the thing with the mundane is they're supposed to throw themselves into danger
Yeah.
all the time, which
Yeah.
gives like mechanical boosts to everybody else. And Sam's amazing about that.
Sam's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's the Xander.
Yeah,
I
it's
had no
100%
idea
the
that was
Xander-
their point.
the Xander
'cause
character.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah,
they're doing.
100% with the it's amazing.
Well, I played Sea of Thieves
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
again, and something happened in Sea of Thieves. I was talking to Dave, and he's like, "I've never seen that happen."
Really?
I'm swimming out to my ship because I can't. I was when you're by yourself in the little boat.
See if this is a video game. If you don't know. What
Sea of Thieves is a massively online pirate game, and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
You
if
said
you don't,
PvE, PvE.
it's PV everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't like player versus player, don't play it. It's called Sea of Thieves for a
It's
reason.
actually not PvE, it's PvP all the time.
And it's PV everything.
Everything.
It's
PV
PV all of
all.
the things.
PVA.
I'm swimming out to my boat. I'm on a quest. I think I had a chest. Yeah, I had a chest. So I like dug up some treasure, and I'm like coming back, swimming back to my
No
boat.
chickens this time?
No chickens. This was a different
Wow.
quest.
Okay.
Swimming back to my boat, I click on F to start climbing the rope ladder onto my ship. I get about halfway up, and it drops me back into the water.
What?
And then the F is no longer there, even though I can see that the rope ladder is right there. And then my ship goes up into the air,
What?
flips over, lands on its side, and sinks. My theory is that was the Kraken. Because there's a Kraken in the game. I have not seen the Kraken. I don't know if Dave has seen the Kraken. My guess is that was the Kraken.
Holy.
So I swam back very fast.
Yeah.
my guess is that it's a bug.
No, it had sunk
my.
because when your ship has like this sunk condition or whatever it is,
No, I
it's
get
hard
it.
to do stuff on
Yeah.
it. So like the option of climbing the ladder went away, and then the ship literally went up in the air and like started flying. It wasn't like a quirky thing. It was
scary.
smooth graphics. It wasn't like
okay.
it didn't look like a glitch. Maybe
Okay.
it was. I don't know. But it kind of like went up in the air and went like this and landed on its side and then sank very fast.
And in the game, the Kraken's a world boss, which I guess, according to a lot of people, is just tentacles. They haven't actually worked out what the rest of it is yet.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
All I know is the ship flipped and it sunk, and it was
You
anchored.
lost your ship to an unknown thing and it floated in the air and fell back down on
Yes.
its side and sunk.
And it was anchored. My sails were up. There was no reason why my ship should have been moving around at all.
Have you been able to complete a quest at all yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you still have your treasure?
No, because I went back to the shore, and then when I figured, because then
put it down.
then your sort of ghost appears with a torch in the middle of the water where your ship sunk, and if you go back out to it and interact with the ghost, it will give you your ship back. And I think it takes away some gold, because at one point I had 8,000 gold, and now I have 4,000 gold. I don't know when that
It like
happened.
reses you. It's like the res.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm
For your
still
boat.
alive.
Yeah, for your boat though.
But the boat.
The death punishments, yeah.
But I wasn't dead, because there's also a death thing where you go
Okay,
to the
failure
ghost ship.
punishments. You get punished for failing.
Well, if you're on an island and you don't have a boat, you're kind of dead almost.
Yes.
Unless you're Jack Sparrow.
No, you can steal
and
someone
you're
else's.
Right,
turtle.
with Ron.
I don't know if you can steal other people's boats. I haven't tried.
can.
You very.
I don't know actually.
I don't know.
I know
They
you can
climbed
steal
on your
shit off of
boat.
other people's
Yeah,
boats.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
know that firsthand. But I don't know if you can actually steal boats. Anyway,
So we played a lot of stuff this week. It was
Yes.
a busy week.
I love that game, and on the forum they're trying to put together sort of a Happy Jacks group to go out
fun.
to go in and
Cool.
because the thing is there's so many servers.
Yeah.
Because I guess that over like during the week, not the weekend, but during the week when the game came out, there were times when there were 1 million people playing it
Yeah.
simultaneously.
It's so many people want to play that game, and I'm trying to decide like whether I want to like commit to it. Because both my husband and I would want to play, so we have to buy 2 copies of it.
I bought 2 copies because
For you
Zachary and
and
I.
Zach, yeah.
Zach plays on the Xbox. I play on the PC.
But I have to decide like really the only thing I can think of that I really want to do in that game is play the hurdy-gurdy.
Right.
So it's
You
like
might get a hurdy-gurdy.
You wanted to, but you're
You
not.
might get a concertina.
Can you
I
play
know.
yet?
I have a concertina in my house. Like if I'm gonna play a
Right.
video game, concertina, or learn to actually play the concertina that I have and own,
It's easier to play it in the game.
100% because I hit like the A button or whatever
Right.
it is. Perfect. See,
Yeah.
I really just want to start a band, both in real life and in that game. That's what I want.
Right.
Yeah, because what we need is another band. That's 100%
Yes.
what we need.
Yeah.
But
The third or fourth. Yeah.
it's fun. With more than one player, it's fun. It's very frustrating with one player because you are so...
Have you been able to play with anybody else yet? Like
Yeah,
Dave? Okay.
Dave, my son Zachary,
Oh,
and I,
cool.
the three of us played. We had a galleon.
Because you can have up to 4 people.
You have 4 or 3 players on a
Okay.
galleon or 2 players on a sloop.
Okay.
And we played, and he Dave was more advanced because he plays more than Zachary and I have.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, well, let's go. He's like kind of showing us the ropes of the different people you can get quests from, the different kinds of quests, because you can go on quests and hunt like the crews of sunken ships, which are like old skeletons and shit.
Cool.
Or you can get the gold hoarders. That's where you dig for buried treasure. Then there's the merchants, where it's like go to some place and get some pigs or chickens or something and take them to someone. Those are the 3 main quests. But then
Okay.
also at one point we're going along and there's a bunch of seagulls flocked. And he's like, oh, that means there's a sunken ship over there. So we turn, go to the sunken ship, and you can try to get stuff off of the sunken ship. But of course you can drown because the ship is actually sinking.
Oh.
And you can only spend so much time underwater before you start drowning.
The chat room's saying that they think it might be a killer whale that sunk your boat.
Maybe. I don't know. I
don't
never
know if
saw
they're
it.
serious. I don't
Whatever it was, I never saw it. All I saw was my boat flip in the air.
Ah.
And it was smooth. It wasn't like
That's
Usually, you can tell when it glitches
It didn't
out.
look like a glitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually it's pretty tell.
Crazy.
banana sandwich.
But
But
it
we
was
have
great.
more actual emails.
Yes, we do.
What
do.
emails?
The next email is from
first time
Steffi
gaming.
from Scotland. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if Steffi is male or female.
That's
Steffi
okay.
from Scotland.
Steffi from Scotland here. Bit of a horror story for you for my first attempt to get into the hobby.
Thank you.
My first game was an old
Yeah.
school friend's D&D group. She was the other one I met before I made a forest elf rogue with the idea of a Robin Hood highway bandit and letting the ranger be a ranger. We had
Maybe you need to stop
we
that.
I need
had
subtitles.
to roll
And I
on the
got
background
printed stuff.
traits for our character.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
should I
read
stop
it.
now? Really?
Yeah, just read.
Which
Just
got
read
me
it.
a few aspects, but I didn't.
Okay, there you go.
But I didn't think fit, like the flaw. I get obsessed about valuable items that I want to steal, but whatever. It added character. The GM glanced over my sheet, told me I was traveling with my friend to protect her gold, which again went against the concept.
Oh, quote, protect her
yes,
gold.
quote, protect her gold.
Thieving
which
Thieverson.
All right, let's go back and read a little bit of that first.
All right.
Okay, because I was trying to follow along and I have it in front of me. And
bit
I
of a
still-
horror story for you for my first attempt. My bit of a horror story.
No, stop.
To get into attempt the hobby. All right. My first game was an old school friend D&D group. She was the other one I met before I made a forest elf rogue. What?
No, When
Okay.
you're reading it normally, you don't have to go slowly.
With the idea of
I'm not that drunk
not.
yet.
with the
Like,
idea
Stupid,
of a
yeah.
Robin Hood highway bandit, while letting the ranger be a ranger, to roll on the background traits for our character, which got me a few aspects, but I didn't think fit, like the flaw. I get obsessed about valuable items that I want to steal. That was the flaw they rolled. But whatever, it added character. The GM glanced over my sheet, told me I was traveling with my friend to, quote, protect her, or protect her gold, end quote, which
Protect. in
again
quotes.
went against my concept, but the GM
Yeah.
was trying to get us together, so sure, I was branching out in my criminal career. We get in town, and my friend playing a Dragonborn is curious about a store called the Dragon's Eye. Why wouldn't you, being a Dragonborn, right?
I'm not Dragonborn and
Is
I'm
it
curious.
actually full of dragon eyes?
Did that character happen to have an eye patch?
Is it full of Dragonborn eyes? All right, so I follow her in because I'm meant to be her bodyguard.
Sure.
It sells diamonds, which the Dragonborn has no interest in, and leaves. I play up my flaw that I rolled, trying to describe the wide-eyed awe I was experienced. I wasn't doing anything, just looking around in awe at the doorway after my companion left. GM have these guards show up and order me out of the shop and spread word to the rest of the guards. Racial profiling. I get what he's going for. Whatever. We get to the Dwarven Tavern, and I'm asked what I want. I have no value of the in-world money, no idea what's on the menu, and already feeling on the spot. I ordered water. Makes sense. I'm on duty, con artist playing a bodyguard. Now with the guard watching me, I need my wits. Well, the dwarves take great insult at this.
Oh.
At this point, I'm pissed off. I feel hazed, and my attempts at roleplay have been far better than anything my friend has shown, who has walked into the shop and left, though left in the dust by the other players. The dwarf starts asking about rooms and needing a breather from the hazing. I try to transfer attention to my friend, though I'm playing my mark/boss. Attention stays on me, and suddenly we and the ranger are being put in the 50 Shades of Grey suite. My friend is glaring at me as if it's my fault. She said nothing, and they are her friends.
What the fuck? What?
The paladin,
Oh, God.
who went to a different tavern when the group got into town, and the ranger who took the dildo, that's his word, dildo club +1 with advantage to intimidation checks
This isn't real.
from the 50 Shades
It is
suite.
probably real, is what's really sad about this.
No, because the ranger actually took the dildo from the 50 Shades suite and ditched me and my friend while the characters sleep. Enjoy the rest of the session.
Okay, what's the name of that Carlton Melnick the third book?
Huh?
What?
The kobold something dildo plus something an adventure. You know, remember that podcast that
Why are you looking at me?
that Tyler used to do
Oh,
called
yeah,
This
okay.
Book Is Why Your Daddy Drinks?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the books they read was a quote unquote bizarro fiction, and it was a parody of D&D that there's this.
Like the dinosaur erotica that's on the Amazon.
Go down
But
the
there's-
rabbit
God.
hole of bizarro fiction.
Please, God, please, let's not get into a competition about, no, let's not go there.
Okay, and
You
the
guys
ranger.
don't remember that? That was
wait,
the weirdest
No.
thing.
Paladin
I
who
remember
went
that.
to a different tavern when the group got into town, and the ranger who took the dildo. Club +1 with advantage to intimidation.
I read it. You're just having a hard time comprehending
I
it.
am.
I know.
dildo is
That's
his
what
name.
that's what they wrote.
The dildo.
that-
I am.
Is he maybe
Yeah.
the guy who's writing this just calling it that? I don't. Go
I
ahead.
don't
Well,
know.
no, because it's in quotes. So if we get rid of the quote part, it's like so.
It's not in
the
quotes.
paladin.
It's not in quotes.
It's in parentheses.
What, no, he's giving us the stats for the dildo.
But we
Yeah.
can get rid of the parentheses.
Okay,
maybe
let's
this makes
see
more
where
sense.
let's see where it goes. Because
paladin-
maybe he's just throwing shade, and maybe it's a dildo.
The paladin
Maybe.
who went to a
Okay.
different tavern when the group
From 50 Shades
got
of
into
Grey.
town, and the ranger who took the dildo from 50 Shades of Sweet and ditched me and my friend while our characters sleep. Enjoyed the rest of the session while
Count your
neither myself
blessings.
or my friend were given a chance to wake up and join the fucking adventure.
But if that involves, okay, go ahead.
Wow.
But
Now,
there
is
is a
that-
happy ending.
Is that join the fucking adventure, join the fucking adventure?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
What kind of
It
happy
seems different.
ending?
If you're stealing a
Is
dildo,
this
that
like
could
a-
be different meanings.
Oh, but they ended up in a
Special
massage
massage?
parlor because there's a happy ending.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
know. That's what I figured.
Go, Stork.
But
Oh, God.
there is a happy ending.
One T. But
After this group and another false start, I found a wonderful D&D group that has been going for 2-ish years now.
2 years.
I've run a mask campaign for them and wasn't at all which wasn't for all of them, but one encouraged me to start a new masks group for our alternate week, which is new, shiny, and and may have fallen apart by the time you read this email. But right now, I'm having lots of fun with it.
Excellent.
Steffi, P.S.
Aelith.
It's a fantastic Welsh accent, but
The
that
Fae
phase
is not Scottish. That's Jason's accent. Yeah, it is a little bit more Welsh than Scottish, although it is actually surprisingly really good. He's like, oh, I have the worst accent ever, and then he busts
Who
out
does?
the Jason.
He can do a Welsh accent?
It's
That's
amazing.
hard as fuck.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
really
Nails
hard.
it. He's like, oh, I have the worst accent ever, and then he busts out with it, and I was like, oh, like first game, I was like, you sound so fucking good, and I know a lot of people who fucking pretend they can be like Scottish and Welsh accents.
We know Welsh people.
Yeah.
Well,
He's like that good.
My
Welsh
friend
accent
Morgan's
is
like that.
so
Yeah.
hard. It is so hard
He's
to do.
really going for Scottish, but it's a good Welsh accent.
Wow.
Well, then
No, Welsh is.
let him know that he's doing a
Second
Welsh
hard.
accent, but don't change a thing.
I'm not gonna say
Does he sound
anything
like
to-
Peter? Does
Yeah,
he
he
sort
does.
of
He
sound
does sound
like
like
this?
he sounds
Right.
exactly
The only
Peter.
way I get it in my Welsh accent is from Peter, but it's
Being
mostly
Peter.
from Eddie Izzard, who does building a hen jar.
Oh, I get all mine from Torchwood.
So good. All right.
Gwyn
So you know what? Like, I would love to think
and
that
Ned and
this.
Stacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to think this was pretend, but I've heard so many horror stories like this, especially as like a woman, that this is probably real.
Yeah.
Like people do weird fucking shit in D&D or in role playing games in general, but people think because it's like a game and make believe they can They can act like however they want. They take role playing to mean like role playing like you do with your partners or whatever, and it's just not the same.
Okay, the book I was talking about.
Yo, you got it?
Carlton Mellick III. That's the name of the.
That's an amazing name.
That's the author, and he writes bizarre. He writes. I think that's his actual name.
Well, whatever it is, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Carlton Mellick III.
Here are some of his books: The Haunted Vagina, Satanburger, Apeshit, The Cannibals of Candyland.
No, you know
When
what?
did
Just
when
stop.
did he come out with Satanburger? Because I feel like that might be a copyright infringement on our show. Although ours was a cheeseburger, but Satan cheeseburger?
Long time ago.
I really don't want to give this guy any press.
No,
Let's
he's
not.
fine. He's fine.
Clearly, he's making more money than we are.
I'm looking for the kobold one. I knocked up Satan's
All right.
daughter.
I knocked up Satan's daughter.
Yeah, I'm looking for the kobold one because he wrote the kobold. There it is. The title of the book is, come on, The Kobold Wizards Dildo of Enlightenment +2, an adventure for 3 to 6 players, levels 2 through 5. That's the title of the book.
Is it a book or it's an adventure?
It's a novel.
path?
It's a novel that looks like a D&D
How
module.
come he gets a book and I don't have a book out?
Right, and then we just gave him a
I'm
lot of
gonna
press.
How many
too.
books?
Now everybody's
Yeah.
going to go look at the book,
Finished.
and I guarantee you,
One?
if 0.5% of the
But
people
it
now
doesn't
go read
have
that book.
dildos and 50 shades of kobolds in it.
The Ultra Fuckers?
Or
All
vagina
right.
Hammer wives?
dentatas or...
Moving on. Somebody else read the book.
Jeez
Hunger Bug?
Louise.
Quick, stop him now before he gets even more free press.
Thank you so much for writing in an amazing horror story.
Scotland.
And I think, I mean, it sucks because sometimes, especially like when that's the only game you have.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's the only game you have. You're a little bit like, all right, do I put up with this shit or do I not? And I applaud you.
I don't know any of the lyrics.
That's okay. I applaud you for finding a new group and for starting to GM yourself. So, clapping for GMing.
Yeah.
And Mask is awesome.
It is awesome.
Yes. So, do you want to split this one up, Gina?
It's in 3
Yeah, because
parts.
there's like a bunch of parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Australia.
Why don't you
Bye.
do the first one and then we'll see. Actually, the first part's like about as long as the second and third parts together.
First part. Okay. Good day, douche canoes. I can't do Australian, sorry. Daniel from Australia, a.k.a. Carrot and Stick on the forums, a.k.a. that guy who likes fate maybe too much. Is there really such a thing?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah. Stork, yeah.
Not true. I come before thee with yet another 3-part missive. Prepare yourself for part 1 by having a bottle of alcoholic beverage handy.
Done.
Ta-da.
Prepared. We're prepared.
Cheers.
All
Part
right.
the first,
We've girded our loins.
in which, without the help
I
of
have no
the
idea what
50
that means, but
Shades
it's still an awesome
or
prize.
the guy with 3 names.
It means to like cover your thighs.
Gird
Okay.
your
Protect.
loins.
Yes.
Okay.
Without a merkin.
Gird your loins.
Yeah. Or unless you want a merkin, then you can have one. Because who am I to say you
I don't
can't?
want that. I don't know. Stop, because you were talking to Stork, and I don't want to think about Stork and Merkins. Continue.
Does everyone know what a merkin is? Listening at home?
She said stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Google it. I dare you.
Do it at
right
work.
now.
Not you. You know what it is.
I'm curious what it says. Markin, right?
Yeah. Did you see the Merkins at at Fashion Week?
What?
Oh my god.
yeah.
It was a legit.
Yeah.
I thought you said stop.
I know, but now it's a thing, and we've gone down the rabbit hole. We're just going to continue with it. God damn it!
A
Rabbit hole.
merkin is a pubic wig.
Yes, it is a pubic
Merkins
wig.
were originally worn by prostitutes after shaving their genitalia and are now used as decorative items, erotic devices, or in films by both men and women.
Yeah, because it kept them from getting pubic lice if they didn't have actual hair, so they'd have fake hair down there.
Also
But-
known as the crabs with Z.
Yes.
Oh, but look what happens when you put a merkin up. You get some guy named Merkin.
That's unfortunate.
David.
Oh, no, I spelled it wrong. It's M-E-R-K-I-N.
But Google Fashion Week Merkins, because like I forget which designer it was. This last Fashion Week, did everything, and they all had Merkins that they were wearing. That's not that you could see it. They walked down the fucking runway in couture with a Merkin, and you're just like, as a historical costumer, I don't know what the fuck to think about that.
I think we should be designers and we should just look up historical
Oh, it's goodbye,
costuming.
bushy
and
Merkin. I'm
just throw
tired of
that in
working.
there.
right? Right? It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, there they are. There
that's
are
brilliant.
people,
No, see,
ladies wearing merkins.
we'd totally be
You know what though? That
couture.
doesn't look like a merkin. That looks like one of those weird clip-on bikini things.
Well, they're clip-ons,
Well, you gotta
yeah,
modernize
but they're
it.
furry and
Yeah.
triangle-shaped over their hoo-ha.
Is it really furry? Let
Yeah.
me zoom in and look. Oh yeah, it has. It's like a faux bush.
Yeah. It's like a
We're not
stylized
starting
merkin.
early ever again, okay?
I know.
This is just as more time to drink and get out of control.
I know,
Silly.
the show's gonna still end at like 10 o'clock.
A merkin is essentially equipment for a ninja. Yes. No, I stole that.
really?
That was Mr. Vito.
Oh my god, that was awesome.
Oh my god.
Ninja.
That's a t-shirt.
That's
a t-shirt.
fantastic. As an Australian,
Oh, bro, Australia, where the men and the sheep
with
are nervous.
pride to see my country's peculiar brand of slang travel the world and be horribly misunderstood. Australian slang tends to be context sensitive, which has resulted in some hilarious interpretations by the jackers. A few clarifications. I'm very interested in this because I watch a lot of Australian television.
Did
Well,
the C word come up?
oh yeah,
Are they mostly prison shows?
no,
Sorry.
no, there
Sorry.
is one though. But that's
You know, I tried to get into Australia, and they said, "Do you have a record?" And I said, "I didn't know I needed one to get in."
Oh, 17th century joke.
Oh,
no,
Lordy.
18th. Probably
No, I
18th
have
century.
watched a shitey sort of. It's called Banished, and I have only been.
The only show I watched because my daughter
got
was watching it
halfway
was
through.
H2O, Just Add Water.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I loved all of them. There's a sequel. And a couple of movies. Watch them all.
She did not like the sequel, so we didn't watch the sequel.
Interesting.
You should.
McLeod's Daughters was my entry level drug, but now I watch a lot
Man
of
from
other
Snowy
stuff.
River.
No. Man from Snowy
Man from
River.
Merkin.
Ninja. While you are indeed correct that necking it's called pashing. It's pash.
Well, necking is also an American English slang.
Yeah, it is. Is a form of intense kissing that often results in hickeys, hence the term to neck. A bottle is not to tongue kiss it.
Oh, necking a bottle. Okay.
Oh, to neck a bottle is not to tongue kiss it.
Yeah, right. And if you neck a can,
Bastards.
you're going to get cut.
I'm demonstrating what it means. Go ahead.
to grasp a bottle, usually of alcohol, by the top of the neck, almost with the same hand shape that one would grip a pen
Oh,
or a
that's
pencil
different.
with.
That is not
There you
right.
go.
Oh.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
So like with one finger, got it.
your mic's not on.
Because they're fancy lads. And to raise the bottle to your lips, swinging the weight of the bottle upwards.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like Jack Sparrow-y, like
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also swirling the bottle
Swirling.
makes it empty faster. Did you know that?
No.
Yes,
What
that's
the
something-
Australians do.
That's actually
'Cause
something.
you're down under, or-
no.
Okay.
It's science?
Yes.
I didn't know.
I actually learned this from a scientist, from a chemist who used to be in the band. And when we were homebrewing, we were cleaning out bottles, rinsing the bottles out, filling them with sanitizer, and cleaning them. He's like, "Oh, just swirl it a little bit, and the stuff will like shoot out." And no shit, you take a full bottle, like a beer bottle,
Yeah.
and when it's full, you turn it upside down and go like this, and just kind of give it a little spin, a little
Oh, it's
bit,
the air up.
and all of a sudden, whoosh, the water comes out like almost instantly.
Nice.
It's amazing.
There's a GIF online right now, or a meme online right now. You could take like a jar full of 6-sided dice and you spin it around and they settle, and make a wall, and they all settle down on their flat sides.
Really,
Wow.
On their flat
Plus-
sides?
It looks cool as shit.
as opposed to their pointy sides.
The necking on the
If
bottle.
you assume it has
Cool.
It's only 6-sided dice.
let's say plus 6.
14.
14. If you assume it has 14 sides, then there's only 6 flat sides.
On a 6-sided die?
If it could land on its corner.
I know, but
Stork and I are simpatico right now. We're thinking
no, we're
with the
not.
same brain.
No, we're not. Don't
I don't
let
think
me in
you
with
did
your,
all that math to tell me that there's 6 flat sides on a 6-sided
Don't let me
die.
in with your murky
There's
fantasies.
6 flat
I'm
sides,
over here.
and there's 8 pointy sides.
Oh God.
There are!
No, I know.
It's just that it never lands on the pointy sides, unless you have, crappy dice.
Or you're me.
It could.
Moving on, Ninja. Please.
That would
please,
make me
please.
convinced that you have.
Gina, please go.
Yeah, no. Okay.
please.
Yeah.
My
Continue.
My country-raised father-in-law, he grew up on a cattle farm, suggests that the motion should be to grab the neck in one's fist, or simply refer to drinking from a bottle as opposed to a schooner, tankard, or glass. You want a glass, mate?
Nah.
Now,
I'll neck it. Oh, okay, I got it.
I'm a city slicker, so that may be where the disparity arises.
City slicker?
It's a big
Country.
damn
All right.
country.
It's
It
a country
is.
that's so big it's a continent.
It is.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It is.
Not incontinent.
No.
A continent.
You know, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this as an
incontinent.
Australian. They do put the continent country.
They do.
Hey-o.
They do. The term bugger lugs does indeed mean to have broken ears. However, when researching the term buggered, you seem to have interpreted the slang term a bit literally. To have, well, because buggered is the British thing too.
Right.
So to have buggered lugs does not mean...
When two British sailors love each other very much.
Well, no. He actually goes on to explain it in great detail here.
All right,
yeah,
let's
there's
continue.
bloody buggery.
No.
Okay. You seem to have interpreted blah, blah, blah. To have buggered lugs does not mean to put one's penis in a child's ear.
We never assumed that.
No.
Well, literally, no.
We
I
talked
don't
about
think
that,
so.
though.
Well, literally, fucked, in quotes, and buggered are indeed explicit references to coitus. It is a quirk of Aussie slang that almost any term referring to sex also means broken. Let's pause here for a moment of silence, because that's that.
That may also be the case here. This is totally fucked.
Wow, that's...
Right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow, yeah, fucked, buggered, rooted, and screwed all mean broken.
Well, yeah, we use screwed too. Oh, man,
Wrecked.
we're screwed.
Or
Not
beyond
rooted.
repair.
Not rooted.
Wrecked. We use wrecked.
That's a puritanical bullshit.
Yeah.
I call
Well, yeah.
on words.
Yeah.
Sorry, words. That's wrong. However, as above with Aussie slang being contextual, each of these words has a contextual meaning as well. To be fucked or screwed means to be in trouble. Or to be rooted, or once again as my father-in-law, to be Ted from Roo country,
Real country. Aye.
means to be tired or exhausted. And to be buggered is to be confused, stumped, or astounded. Well, bugger me, that's amazing. Oddly, to not be buggered means the same. Buggered if I know. I hope this does precisely nothing to clarify matters, and pray that the rabbit hole of dad joke-worthy slang that is Australian rhyming slang reaches your podcast soon. Also, if you are still curious about the peculiarities of Australian slang, the book from the mid-60s, Let's
Talk Strang.
I'll wait for you to verbally parse
Stu?
that.
Stu?
Let's talk strang.
Let's talk strang.
Let's talk strang.
Strang.
You and
Strang.
I need to get together and we're going to write a song called Australian Rhyming Slang.
Ooh.
Okay.
And when Stork
Awesome.
sings it, he's going to sound German. 'cause
So
that's
that's going to be it.
It's actually still available on Amazon and still unmatched.
3 days ago, I
That
saw
was
a video
lovely.
of all that time.
And there's
Let's
more.
talk strang.
There's more.
Let's talk string. Strine.
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 Yeah.
Maybe we should start a portion of this show that's
Oh, I get this.
slang from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And we just make up what we think it is.
This is drunk talk.
They do that on a hockey thing. I
Let's
was
talk
watching.
strang.
Yeah.
all
Stork
fine.
string.
They show a word and you're supposed to say if it's Finnish or German or made up or something like that, and it's kind of fascinating.
Because the Australians have a rhyming slang, so do the Cockney English. It's up the apples and pears, which means
Yeah.
going up the stairs.
China.
They have all of these rhymes that
Right.
that you only know if you're from there.
Oh, and a criminal.
And a criminal.
No,
Isn't that how that?
That's how Australia started. I mean,
You
really.
said-
No, I'm talking about.
Oh.
I'm talking about.
Criminals.
I'm talking about Cockney
Yeah.
rhyming slang. Wasn't that originally so you could?
I think
people
so.
would not know what you're talking
Yes.
about. That is my understanding.
Up the apples and
apples and
pears.
pears.
I have a lot of
Criminal
very
friends.
suspicious of foreigners.
That's because you're French.
Right.
Well played. Well
Yes,
played.
well done.
Who's
Okay.
next?
Part the second. Or are you going to say something else?
No, go ahead.
Okay. A success story of balancing Deus Ex
Deus.
Machina.
Ex machina.
Oh my God! You guys have to decide on how I say it. You said-
Deus
Yeah.
ex machina.
Okay.
It's
yeah, I
one of
know
my
that
favorite
part.
phrases.
Deus Ex. I've always heard it Machina. Machina.
Machina,
say
machina.
machina.
You
Okay.
say machina. I say
machina.
machina. Let's call the whole thing off.
Okay. With agency and player trust. I thought I would share a double success story from my recent Mage the Awakening game, centered around 3 American town teenagers who
Jealous.
awakened to their magic without guidance.
Awesome.
No pentacle, no seers,
Love this.
just 3 teenagers set loose with read/write across the universe. What could go wrong?
I love the.
This is like your advice earlier about like take out the advice givers and the quest givers.
I love the Linux permissions.
Yes.
All the power ever. Go.
Everything, but that's kind of the point. I was blessed with wonderful players who played the roles to a hilt. We had a cheerleader, Acanthus, a football linebacker, a Brimos. I think these are classes from Mage the Awakening. I haven't played it. And then the 90s high school movie archetypal outcast, sort of the morose. To continue the chase, poor cheerleader was being pursued around her house by a particularly nasty Nosferatu. Yes, I mix my old and new World of Darkness. Don't hurt me, please, purists. Who had decided she needed to die. Very much not capable of handling the thing on her own, she quickly called her friends, who, having no space mage among them, promptly hopped on the footballer truck to speed off, and tried to hold the creature at bay. Enter vampire love interest, because yes, the magical blonde cheerleader had a vampire love interest. It was too hilariously cliche for us to pass up. Aww. Who bursts in a celerity-enhanced blur and tackles the Nosferatu. Now, this entire time, the guys are pestering me with questions about how far from the cheerleaders' home they are and when they can arrive, because aside from wanting to help their friend, in the panic call, she forgot to specify which vampire was attacking, and the boys were naturally suspicious of the supernaturally handsome vampire who their attractive blonde friend was crushing on. I keep deferring to the request.
Oh, no.
I keep referring to the request for specificity and time frame with a smile and a not yet. This will be important shortly. So, first success, the balancing act. Vampire boyfriend struggles with the Nos for a moment, demolishing a swath of the living room before the two finally come to a stop. Vampire boyfriend, oh, that's his name. Vampire boyfriend.
I know.
Vampire boyfriend, it's even capitalized as his name.
That's a title for a song, too.
Vampire boyfriend, 100%.
Next time I run an Old World of Darkness game.
Yes.
Vampire boyfriend.
Ready for the wives.
Vampire boyfriend has a blade poised at the Nosferatu's throat, and the Nos hand gripping his wrists to hold the blade at bay. The exact same situation, but reversed, was also occurring with vampire boyfriend, struggling to keep the Nosferatu's protean claws from his throat.
Oh my god, what's going to happen?
I described them stuck, tense as wires, locked and immobile, before turning to the cheerleaders player and saying, 10, 9, 8. A look of satisfying panic crossed her face, followed by desperate character sheet grabbing and rulebook flipping. As in Canthus, vampires were a particular threat to her because her magic focused on helping the living, and vampires are a gray area.
They're not a gray area. They're a black area.
I don't know if that's a...
I was counting quite slowly, but we got to 3 before she blurted out a spell that would work to tip the scales. She rolled and scraped a success. The buffed vampire
Buffy
boyfriend...
the vampire, I get it.
The buffed vampire boyfriend's strength, buffed vampire boyfriend's strength enough to push through the Nos's resistance and almost decapitate it. But the spring-tense ball of murderous vampire unwound, and the protean claws got him too. Not as bad, but enough to leave him dramatically bleeding out on the living room floor. The group had seen him heal before, so a cheerleader knelt next to him and offered her wrist. Oops. Second success. I turned to the guys and said, "Okay, now you arrive."
Why he's beating on her?
The look of glee that crossed their faces as they realized I had taken their moment of predictable heroics and turned it into a moment of utter awkward drama was just as rewarding as the look of panic, and they decided to jump through the living room window, improvised magical implements in hand, to see a vampire they didn't like, dead and freaky looking, and the other vampire they didn't like eating their friends.
That's right. Good on them for not metagaming.
Right.
Right.
Cue a loud and awkward conversation over vampire boyfriend's prone form as he desperately tried to knit his throat together and get a word in edgewise before the hormonal, territorial, and possessive teenage boys decided to off him over the cheerleader's vocal protests.
This is almost a Monster
Well,
Hunter game.
obviously she's been Gould.
Yeah,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my God, amazing.
I-
And that's one of those situations where it's like metagaming would be less fun
Oh, absolutely.
than
This
playing
is
it like you see it.
Footnote: just 3 teenagers set loose with read-write
And,
access
and,
to the
and to
universe.
our first letter writer here,
all the same
William
guy.
from Minnesota.
William.
Yeah. Take notes from this letter here.
Amazing.
This is how you do it.
It was, suffice to say, a very rewarding session, and everyone went home happy. The group is very trusting that I only take their agency away when I'm taking them somewhere interesting and fun. And my players have, over the course of 2 years or so, suffered a few kidnappings, leg shootings, taserings, and the like, in the faith that I won't use my powers for evil. It's a wonderful thing.
I have that trust with Stu. I figure Stu's going to taser me. Something interesting
Important.
is going
Yes.
to follow.
All right. Okay.
I can do the rest. Or no, it's Stu's turn.
I'll do it.
Okay, good.
Part the third. Compersion in gaming.
I think it's supposed to be a comparison.
No, it's compersion.
What's compersion?
Speaking of word definitions, here's one that not many people know. Compersion. Consider it the opposite of schadenfreude. To experience joy at the suffering of others, compersion is to experience joy at the happiness of others. I was listening to Fear the Boot, and I'm working right now. Sometime in May, we're going to do another crossover.
Woohoo!
Nice.
I got an email from Dan
Cool.
today. Well, thank you for the listeners who kind of gave them a little push.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a dirty two-timing trader moving on. Well, this is a poly show.
Yeah.
So
we're
that's
fine.
fine.
We don't judge.
We're all fine here.
We're all informed and
How
we
are
have
you?
our consent, so it's fine.
Yeah, we have an open relationship with our listeners.
Especially with Fear the Boot.
We don't fear it as much as some people.
Sometimes we savor the boot.
You like the boot.
And one of the hosts described playing a Nazi for a World War II game.
Yeah.
I think it was a one-shot. But as the host described the experience, it became clear that his enjoyment of playing the character was from being a foil, but not in the way that he used it as an excuse to antagonize the other players, but to carefully and collaboratively provide excuses for the other players to have their characters hate this character. That is a very that's what do I call those people? A very generous actor. John Breen in our band.
Yeah.
If you improvise with that man, he's going to. Anyone who improvises with him is going to look like they're a genius.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson was a great host that way. He would always set his guests up to look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even at his own expense.
Right.
He would set them up and he would toss them lines. I mean, everybody that worked with Carson loved being there because they always came out looking great.
Right.
And it was a gift that he was able to do that.
What do you, the fine Happy Jackers, feel about compersion at the gaming table? I feel that it's very important to take joy in the table's success and other characters' stories as well as your own, and to actively foster those moments. I feel it can be easy to get lost in your own character's story until the compersion is lost. Your thoughts? Thank you again for all you do for the hobby. May your beer be tasty, your dice roll true. Sorry. Sorry, Canada. I burped and then I breathed in, and it was like
I know
pure carbon
you did.
dioxide.
You're full of the juices of life. That's what happened.
It was a total poignant moment
That was
too, and it
amazing.
was just like,
It's such a Happy Jacks thing.
yeah.
And if the ladies are present, your
Not
cosplay
anymore.
always fit perfectly first try.
That'd be
Oh,
nice.
that'd be nice. Drink.
Drink, or if we're holding to the Aussie slang,
Oh, no.
swig.
I'm going to neck the bottle.
Can you neck the can?
I'm going to neck the bottle.
Like the bottle.
Daniel from Australia. Sorry.
I think this is-
I'm sorry. That was my New Zealand accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel from Australia.
I want to be Daniel's friend.
Australia's louder than
is
New
our
Zealand.
friend.
Super awesome.
You just shout New Zealand louder, and it's
Yeah.
No, there's an I thing going on for E's in the New Zealand.
Oh, God.
Dak is thick.
Time for band meeting.
Big Kiwi.
I just go to the manager from Flight of the Conchords.
All of the
Brit and Concord.
Brit instead of Brett.
Right.
Yeah.
Brit.
And Dickers.
Well,
or
it turns out
in
now,
Shadowrun.
it turns out your vowels are the key to pretty much any accent, are the vowels.
Yeah.
How they're treated.
Yeah.
Because there's a plethora of way to pronounce every vowel.
So I was going to say that,
Yeah.
that this particular last paragraph actually could be a topic in and of itself. Because
It can.
I can see a lot of discussion going on here. And I think that we have been guilty of not making the compersion. I think that we've been guilty of playing our own characters to the detriment of compersion. If I'm using the word correctly.
Not in the last
I don't think
L5R
so.
game.
No, but not. Well, we have been guilty. I think in Mode of Sin, there's been a lot of people being self-centered and people. Well,
I think that's a bad example, though, because you're supposed to be in Vampire.
But
that system's designed to be that way.
I love it when taking compersion out, maybe substituting another word because it's something that
compersion
I think
is
is similar.
specifically the word that he wants.
It is. Let me
Yeah,
finish.
we all learned what it means.
I did.
I know, it's fascinating.
But I think that I enjoy a feedback loop when I get a game going where the players are enjoying the game. Once the players enjoy a game, I enjoy the game, and that to me
I
can incorporate compersion.
But I think that we're always doing this, especially as stage performers.
Yeah.
If the audience is enjoying the show and they're laughing and they're applauding, it fills you with energy. Your show becomes bigger and brighter, and it's exactly. I think this is.
That's the feedback loop I'm talking about.
This is what we do, and this is why we do it.
Yeah,
Really?
we came up with a couple. The episode I hosted a few weeks
We
ago.
just didn't know what the word was.
Yeah, there's an active term for it. We came up with the term spotlight adjacents.
Right.
For a game, and that was a couple weeks ago. And I think that's exactly what this is. Like, you can enjoy having someone else be in the spotlight and support them. And I think that's exactly what you're describing, too, with, like, that feedback loop of you can throw attention to somebody else on stage or in the game and still, like, feed off of that energy and still have a great time playing off of that.
It's the Abbott to the Costello.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the playing the straight man to set somebody up, sort
Not
of.
necessarily, though.
No.
You can also be the Costello.
The definition is literally enjoying watching the joy of other people.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is actually a step beyond this.
Oh, okay.
What he is talking about is basically being the perfect straight man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is talking about being the foil.
No, that's what I...
okay,
that's what I thought it was... Yeah.
I'm looking at the definition of compersion. The feeling of joy one experiences at another's joy.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is more than that. This is saying to the, detriment, I'm air quoting, of my character, I'm going to give your character an opportunity to hate my dude an enormous amount, and I'm going to enjoy the fact that your character has the opportunity to go out and do this heroic thing against my Nazi World War II.
I didn't even think it had to do with this, so that's an important distinction.
He's actually going above and beyond what.
Right, but I thought it would even be like being the Jimmy Olsen to Superman, like being the setup person.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's actually being someone
In
that's
this example.
loathed. Or
that's not
both
what,
of those are compersion means Jimmy Olsen, being happy somebody else is happy,
set up somebody else to be heroic,
or just being happy they're happy. If someone gets engaged, being happy that they're engaged and that they're happy about it.
It's being a selfless role player.
Yeah,
is what he's talking about, and that is, I've made a character who's more of a foil character, the thief in the D&D party.
Yeah.
Imagine if this would ever happen. A thief in a D&D party intentionally fumbles a roll so that the paladin sees him stealing something. So the paladin can grab him by the ear and take him out and give him a lecture about morality and things like that. So the paladin is totally scratching the paladin itch.
Okay.
To the detriment of the rogue's character.
Detriment in quotes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was thinking,
players themselves are absolutely engaging in this compersion thing, if that's a real word, which I looked it up and it is.
Yeah.
But in reverse Schadenfreude,
I never knew that word.
I prefer to say reverse Schadenfreude because I look at the world that's slightly more negative than this.
And the Germans have the best words.
But I mean, that is the point of the character doing that the player doing that selfless thing with their character is to give the opportunity for another character to shine and do what it is they do.
Yeah, the best example of this is honestly wrestling. Wrestling, professional wrestling. Not like actual Olympic wrestling, but like
Greco-Roman.
Yeah,
right.
no, not that.
You mean like the face and the heel
like Glow and like WWF and that stuff. Like they have like and I've been learning a lot about this because our listeners are super into this actually, and we talk about it a lot in Discord. But like there's characters, if you watch Glow, you totally get the point. Like they choose and they play the evil character, and they realize they're not going to win a lot, but they make like the good characters, like when they win, like the audience is so much more excited
and be super evil and super
bad.
Hating, so they end up raising up the good character on an even higher pedestal.
Hulk Hogan making a whole second career out of turning the villain.
Yeah,
he had the dark beard and everything, and
he did a great job at it.
Yeah, he did, and got a whole another like 5-6 years out of it.
Way better at that than porn.
I'm going to take your word for that.
Can take your word for that.
You ever seen the video?
No.
Why?
No. Only you, Stu.
No. Don't want to. Not doing that.
You see I don't want to.
No, I saw his old his reality show. I don't know.
I wouldn't watch reality shows. I'd admit to watching porn, but I would not admit to watching reality shows.
I love reality shows. I watch porn too, but I also love reality shows.
That's hilarious.
But
we just don't watch reality porn.
Is that a genre? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's called it's a website. It's called Make
There's a word for it. It's called conferencing.
It's not. It's called Make Love Not Porn. It's actually a whole movement and a website that's, I swear to God, it's a thing about like making realistic porn that isn't like completely setting up.
It's full of a lot of awkward fumbling and apologies, and then crying
all of
afterwards.
the uncomfortable positions, so the camera gets to see what the camera wants to see.
It's about not objectifying women. It's about making porn that isn't just that's not women faking orgasm. Like it's so that people can actually, because we have a problem right now in this country of like porn is the number one sex education that we have. So people watch porn and think that that's what it's supposed to be all the time. And it's not, and it's usually what you see in porn is not super pleasant. So if you can tell, this is something that I've like talked about a lot, and I think about it. I've like had big conversations on the internet. Anyway, Make Love Not Porn, and it has super hot stuff that's realistic and not like fake and staged.
I think I gotta go home because this is getting.
Well, at least we started early.
This is good advice.
It is. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daniel in Australia, for your email. And the rabbit hole it led down.
Yeah. God, what a rabbit hole. All of them. The many rabbit holes. But great email.
What are you doing?
It all started with Merkins and it went downhill from there.
Oh, no, it started way before that. Way before that.
It started
with Apothic Dark.
It started an hour before the show when you said, "You want a beer?"
Yeah. Sure. What could go wrong?
All right.
Happy Jacks and beer.
I'm ending then?
All right. We can totally end.
Shit, wrong one. Thank you for joining us for season 21, episode 13 of Happy Jack's RPG podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
My name is
Good night.
I'm sorry to say something?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week, Friday p.m. We got, what should we
we
call
have a
it?
bunch of stuff. Check out happyjacks.org/schedule.
Bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And thank you very much, and we'll leave you with a song. I don't know how much longer I can leave people with songs, because it's starting to become problematic.
Yeah.
With the rights thing.
That's a whole other discussion. Tune in later.
We'll figure that out.
You'll be fine.
In the Bible that many think are great. There's Samson, David, and Noah, and there's others touched by fate. But there's one man in the Bible whose story makes me sigh. He's Onan, and he's my hero. And let me tell you why. Well, God, he said to Onan, you need to have a son. There are many Jews I talk to, but you're my favorite one. So Onan picked his wife up on the bed, he laid her down. But instead of giving her his seed, he spilt it on the ground.
Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool.
Well, God, he said to Onan, you need to build an ark. There is too much sinning in this world, it needs a brand new start. But Onan stopped his building when it began to rain. He said, screw this whole boat building, I'll go home and pull my chain.
Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool.
Well, God, he said to Onan, you need to free the Jews. So go and tell old Pharaoh that it's my will he must choose. But when Onan met the Pharaoh, he ignored what Yahweh said and pulled out the wrong staff and chose to free his seed instead.
Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool.
Well, God, he said to Onan, I'll give you one more try. There's a big man named Goliath, and I think he needs to die. When Onan saw Goliath, these are the words he spoke. I think I'll be the neat retreat, and my chicken I will choke. Oh, yeah.
Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool. Onan, Onan in a rut. Watch him whilst he busts a nut. Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool. One stroke up, one stroke down. Come like Onan on the ground. Onan, my God, that man was great. Onan, he loved to masturbate. His name was Onan. That man, he was a jewel. Onan, he tended to his tool. Boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka, boom shakalaka laka.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Bum, 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 bum.